Learning how to provide strong feedback during peer review is a process. At the beginning of the semester, at the early stages of this process, we discussed peer review and explored how it differs from proofreading. You applied that understanding during peer review of the extended definition. Now, having practiced peer review many times this semester, it is time for you to peer review each other's research proposals. We will ask that you approach this task with the skills you have developed through peer review so far, and with your understanding of the research proposal requirements, and also with a triage mindset, which requires you to critically assess the research proposal in its entirety and prioritize your concerns based on the level of urgency they warrant. So, what is triage and how can we apply it to peer review? Triage is typically used in an emergency room or urgent care facility to assign degrees of urgency to wounds and/or illnesses in order to treat a large number of patients. A triage tag, like the one shown on the right, is used to tag certain charts based on how urgently a patient needs medical attention. Now let's apply this concept to your peer review for the research proposal. Just like you have done during peer review throughout the semester, you will still review each other's drafts and comment on areas of concern. However, for peer review triage, we will ask you to incorporate your understanding of triage, which you should have by the end of this presentation, in order to prioritize areas of concern based on their urgency. In real-world triage, black deceased tags are used for the deceased or for patients with injuries so severe that they will not be able to survive given the care available. During peer review triage, you will be asked questions about the proposed topic and the audience that your peer describes in their research proposal. One of the major goals of the research proposal is the identification of a problem or opportunity within an accessible context. For your final project, you will compose a professional document intended for a particular, well-defined audience that explores solutions to that problem or expands upon the opportunity. Based on those goals, a research proposal may be tagged as deceased if the problem or opportunity involves one of the forbidden topics, such as campus traffic or parking, campus dining options, or anything related to your sorority or fraternity. Further, while you are simply identifying an audience with your research proposal, it is still important that your audience is accessible to you. Having or being able to establish a relationship with a member or members of your audience will be an advantage as you complete your final project. Keep these things in mind as you review a research proposal. Be critical and give each other suggestions even if following such suggestions would require major overhauls. In real-world triage, red immediate tags are used for patients who have a chance of survival, but will be more likely to survive if they receive immediate care. When you peer review the research proposal, you should point out concerns that the author should address immediately before they proceed with less urgent revisions. Help the author address the high priority adjustments to their research proposal by explaining why these are urgent and offering tips or suggestions for improvement. When you reach the immediate portion of the triage worksheet, you will be asked whether the audience is appropriate, specific, and well described. You will also be asked if the audience actually has a specific need for the information. You may feel tempted to simply answer these questions with yes or no. Instead, I challenge you to elaborate. Even if you feel that the audience is appropriate, your answer should reflect critical thinking about the audience and why they are appropriate. Peer review feedback, especially for immediate concerns, warrants more detail than you can accomplish with yes or no. At this level, you should be giving peer review feedback that reflects your critical thinking skills and applies them to an analysis of someone else's writing. Stop and think. Before you move beyond this slide, take a moment to think about the research proposal as the foundation for the final project. Knowing that it must serve as a foundation, what supporting details should you look for during peer review to identify whether the author is laying a strong foundation for their final project? What would such a foundation look like? What qualities would it have? In real-world triage, yellow delayed tags are used for patients who will require medical attention, but do not require urgent medical attention. When you peer review the research proposal, you can still point out delayed concerns, but these should be low priority items. The author should still think about these concerns, but only once they have addressed the more urgent ones that you tagged as immediate. While these delayed concerns still require revisions, they hold less weight in terms of the foundation of the final project. Further, these delayed concerns may also be resolved with the resolution of immediate concerns. For example, perhaps you peer review a research proposal that does not substantiate the audience's relationship with or connection to the problem or opportunity. You also note a lack of secondary research sources, or that the works cited page does not meet the minimum requirement for 10 sources. The disconnection between the audience and the topic would be an immediate concern, and you might suggest that the author addresses it with more research. The lack of secondary research is a delayed concern because it is more important that the author connects their audience and their topic. If secondary research helps them do that, then resolving that immediate concern with secondary research will also lead to the resolution of the delayed concern. In real-world triage, green tags are used for patients who will require medical attention at some point, but only after the patients with more critical injuries have been cared for. In peer review triage, these will present as minor disruptions in flow, sentence structure, grammar, or lack of proper citations. They hold no weight in terms of the potential impact on the foundation of the final project. However, they should still be addressed before the author turns in their final draft, because attention to these details is warranted in a professional setting. Therefore, we ask that you pay attention to these details in this course, where you are composing documents with the level of professionalism that will be asked of you beyond graduation. If you come across many minor concerns during peer review, don't feel bad recommending a trip to the Writing Center. The Writing Center is a resource that you should take advantage of if you feel confident in your content, but not in how you are presenting it. Stop and think. Before you move beyond this slide, take a moment to think about the research proposal and what characteristics it should have. When you complete peer review, what are some high priority concerns that you will tag as immediate? What are some low priority concerns that you will tag as delayed or minor? In addition to categorizing your concerns with these tags, during peer review you should also be elaborating. Make sure that you support your tags with evidence and elaboration. Instead of just tagging something as immediate, answer questions like, why is this immediate? What will this change improve? And what are the consequences of not making this change? Your peer review feedback will continue to be assessed based on quality and quantity. Remember that we assess your peer review feedback so that you can continue developing your peer review skills in order to strengthen your feedback moving forward. In many cases, we observe feedback that certainly answers the questions, but may be reframing the questions as answers without providing additional elaboration. In order to meet expectations for peer review, it is important that you not only answer the questions, but also justify and support your answer by pointing to specific details and elaborating. We want you to give feedback and receive feedback that is useful and that results in a better final draft. However, such feedback requires elaboration because it must give the author information and perspective they did not have before. It must tell them about their writing from your perspective, and therefore must include your perspective. Simply answering the questions you are asked will not transmit your perspective in any thorough or effective manner, so make sure you elaborate. Finally, before you begin peer review, please review the instructions found on the same webpage in ELMS where you viewed this video. These instructions will help you understand where you should be completing peer review within ELMS. Good luck!